The United States doesn't want you to have access to social services because then you won't join the military. I spent most of my childhood on military bases moving around, and that's my personal theory. What radicalized me was going to public school and realizing not everybody gets access to all of this. I remember talking to my classmates when I first started going to public school, and I was like, y'all can't just pop over and get an eye exam? You can't just go to the doctor? I thought everybody had that. And that's when all the adults swooped in. They were like, no, 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 like, this is only for military. I'm like, why? We do it for us. Like, we're capable of it. Why can't they get it? It's like the most evil version of gatekeeping, where it's like, oh, only if you're willing to die for us and ruin your mental, emotional, physical, spiritual well-being, then you deserve to have basic human care and services. Whenever I see people, especially from other countries, that are like, why doesn't America want social services? Like, that seems counterintuitive. You could say, I don't want children to starve, and then you'll be called like a liberal shill. Like, why is such vitriolic hate to things that are like, maybe we should take care of our neighbors? And part of that is the propaganda that's really been absorbed, and how you'll see military soldiers who are like, unless you fought for this country, you don't deserve anything, which is a totally different mindset than, I don't think you should have to pay to exist. Like, you can't really control who you're born to. And as a country, I think it's our collective duty to take care of the people in our country. But it's this deeply capitalistic ideology that you have to be willing to give everything to get the bare minimum. And that kind of mindset, when you get older and you start to dismantle it, is tough. That you may die, but at least your wife and children will have like basic health care for the rest of their lives. And well, isn't that worth it? Whoa, actually, I think a human being's life is worth more than that. And that you're not crazy for not wanting to die so you can have the bare minimum for you and your loved ones. But if you're able to live off base and have access to a quality education, have access to higher education, healthcare, vision, dental, mental health services, if you're able to do all of that without being a soldier, well, then that's really gonna fuck with their recruitment rates. Because even though not everybody joins the military for these benefits, some are doing it out of their sense of patriotic pride, a lot of people do join just for those things. But that kind of model is only sustained by this idea of it being exclusive, something coveted that you have to earn. Because it's also really important for retention, because what you don't want is for the people in the military who have sacrificed a lot in their own personal lives to realize, oh, I didn't actually have to. This is actually just a man-made system with man-made problems, and all of the trauma and all the experiences I faced didn't need to happen. And emotionally, it is tough to grapple with those kinds of ideas. So I personally think for a lot of people, they can't interface with that mindset. They have to believe that what they're doing is for the greater good, because yeah, I'm sure I don't have to spell it out for you. But for everyone asking, why don't Americans want more social services, I believe that has a huge thing to do with it. And that's my perspective on it as a child of soldiers who grew up with other children of soldiers for most of my life. Because if these big, rich politicians lose all their shiny toys to play with, well then, it's going to be a whole lot harder to get into meaningless wars that are fought over their own capitalistic interests.
Hey, if y'all are against socialism so much, then how come you run the military like a socialist country? What? Yeah, you join the military, you get free or very cheap housing. If you join the military, you get free or very cheap medical care. If you join the military, you get discounts nearly everywhere you shop. If you join the military, you get free or very cheap schooling. That's literally a socialist country. Furthermore, now y'all are kicking people out because their ideals and genders don't align with yours. That's literally prejudice. And on top of that, the commander-in-chief, the person who's in charge of the military ultimately, is a felon. If you have a felony, you can't join the military. Why are you allowing somebody with 34 of them to tell you what to do? I mean, I think it's a legitimate question. If you're against socialism so much, what China is, why are you allowing the military to be run like it? Our armed forces, armed, with weapons. You're allowing these people to be treated like socialists. But if socialism is so bad, why aren't you raising these questions?
I have been screaming this for years. Once I saw it, it was hard to unsee it. I live in a military town and I am a military wife. My husband's a vet. But I can't stress enough, they have no idea that what they're living is socialism, specifically the ones that live on base, but even the ones that don't get a monthly BAH to cover their housing and their electrical bills and anything else that it might cover. Like, I don't get it. Their health care is covered. And if you live on base, you have public parks, you have public swimming pools, you have golf courses. These are socialist communities. They are all government funded and they provide for the people that live there. This is why kids on bases tend to do better on nationwide tests, because they have one parent at least that is gainfully employed and has health care. So those kids naturally also have health care. Now, does this mean that everyone on base is living well and is wealthy? No, of course not. There are high, medium, and low, and that's the point. Socialism doesn't mean everybody is exactly the same, and the bases prove that. I don't get how they're missing the whole point and then screaming that they hate socialism when it's their entire existence.
Something that's always been interesting to me is that the U.S. government recognizes that socialism is the best method. That's what they use to bribe people into joining the military. Things that are just a standard in socialized countries are also a standard for our U.S. military. Socialized housing, guaranteed pay, cheaper grocery cost, even free college. These are all standards for socialist countries. It's also the main benefits of the military. In fact, overall, many military families enjoy the same benefits of socialism while they turn around and preach about how that is the model that will ruin America. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be giving them these things. I'm saying that they've earned them, but so is everyone else. And I think one of the main reasons that they don't give these things to us is because A, too many private companies lobbying to be able to make money off of us, so they don't want to change the system, and politicians are getting rich off of our system being the way it is, so they're not willing to change it. And B, because if they change our system, people won't be so desperate that they will be willing to join the military. Obviously, I'm not saying that everyone joins the military just to get these benefits, but it is undeniable that there was a giant chunk of the military that joined because that was what would give them the best quality of life. In many pockets of the country, especially in rural areas like small towns, it is very common where there just isn't any opportunity for people. There's not a lot of great jobs. There's not really that great of education, and there's not any big university. So if you want to have a future, you have to get out of the town. But the town is not rich, and neither are you. In fact, this trend is so well known that they actually target low income areas because they know they're more susceptible to join. There are more recruitment offices in low income areas than there are in high income areas. And they use these benefits to get people to join because otherwise they would not be able to have the quality of life that they know they would be able to if they do. It's their ticket to stable housing. It's their ticket to a good job. It is their ticket to a free education, and it's their ticket to healthcare. Many of these things people have never experienced before the military.
Yeah, at least in the way Americans define socialism, which is providing social services, it's absolutely true. Everyone knows that you get, free healthcare in the military and you get free college education in the military, but you also live for free, either in the barracks or on post housing for family. If you don't want to do that, you get BAH, which is basic allowance for housing, which is money that they'll give you extra in your paycheck every month to put toward rent or paying off a mortgage. It's based on your rank and your zip code, and they'll give you what they believe is a fair market value. So let's say they give you $2,000 a month for your BAH, and you find a place that you can rent for $1,800 a month. You get to pocket those other $200. It's all cash. You also get food for free. You get to eat at the mess hall on post, but no one usually wants to. If you're a junior soldier, you kind of have to. But eventually you get BAS, which is basic allowance for subsistence, which is like $380, $400 or so that they'll give you every month to put forward for purchasing food. Also, back to the BAH, if you have a dependent, a spouse or a child, your BAH increases because you have more people to take care of. You get raises across the board pretty much every year to keep up with the cost of inflation. You're going to get a 1 or 2% raise, everybody, regardless of rank. There's going to be leadership schools and job development schools to help you progress in your career that not only help you in the military, but also help you when you get out. A lot of these schools take place out of state, so the travel there, the lodging, the rental car, the per diem for the food, it's all free. It's all taken care of. You get Gym memberships. Every military base is going to be peppered with a dozen or so gyms, and a lot of them are pretty nice. And you get to go there for free. You just show your ID card, you walk in, you get to use the gym. If you don't have a gym where you work, like let's say you work for some federal installation somewhere, or like I did, I work in recruiting in Indianapolis. There's no military base there, so the military paid for me to get a gym membership at a YMCA that was in my town. It's really obvious how much this helps and benefits communities, help keep people together. Like, I didn't earn any of that. All that stuff was just given to me. My base pay didn't cover that. But just in cash benefits alone, I was making $30,000, like in cash benefits. Not to mention the stuff that wasn't cash, like the healthcare or the education or the gym membership and stuff like that. So when soldiers say stuff that they're against socialism, that other people shouldn't get free healthcare, or if they want a free education, they have to earn it like they did, it really bothers me. Because why do you deserve all this stuff, but a carpenter doesn't, or a teacher doesn't, or a painter doesn't, or a firefighter doesn't? You know, are you providing more to them? In fact, you could definitely argue a lot of them provide more value to the country than we did, but we get all this free stuff because we serve the military. And we social democrats, you know, left to say everyone should have this. There's no reason that we should reserve it for the people that, you know, raise their right hand and wear green every day.